so I definitely recommend it for everyone. It's about midday here in Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, you're in the future, which is just blows my mind. You're
That's
very
right.
advanced. Everything that we're doing, you've already done 17 hours ago. So,
It was amazing.
so welcome to the show, and thank you very much. And before we get started, I'm just going to give a little disclaimer that I always do at the beginning of every show, which is that the opinions stated by the four of us on the show tonight are not that of Smiteworks USA LLC or Fantasy Grounds. This is just a show to teach and help people learn about stuff, and so we don't give any official opinions from the Fantasy Grounds company itself. But I'm assuming that what Ben says is official from Syrinscape because that's his baby.
Yes.
And we will get to everybody's questions. So if you have questions, go ahead. We'll try to capture those, and Ben can answer your questions. But as we get started, Ben, why don't you tell everybody who Ben Loomes is, and for those that don't know, what you're all about.
Yeah, Ben Loomes is a guy who lives in Sydney, Australia. I was a opera singer and a composer and a gamer. I guess I probably am still all those things. I grew up playing the Red Box. I received the Red Box Dungeons and Dragons for Christmas while on holiday up at Smith's Lake, and just had my little tiny sort of 10-year-old brain blown up by how fantastic the story was in there, and the dice you had to rub the crayon into to make them work.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about it.
Yeah, fantastic. And those amazing illustrations in the Red Box of the going to the shop and seeing buying what you need and helping that cleric and the fitting chainmail armor and being the hero, and Bargle the wizard, I think, who zaps you or whatever, and talking to the magic mouth and the sort of choose your own adventure in those first books. So yeah, and I played a lot when I was a teenager, took a break for about 10 years kind of while I was serious about the end of school and university, and then came back to role playing again in my late 20s, and then ended up building digital tools for the game and hanging out with industry people and all this sort of amazing stuff, and doing cons and building an app that people seem to really, really like, and enhances the game and makes it better, which has just been an amazing journey over the last 10 years, I think, since I first built the first version of Syrinscape.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I thought I heard you say on a podcast. I might have been listening to Dragon Talk or one of those, and you said you were an opera singer, so you have a unique perspective on sounds and the way, not just voice, but what the audio universe is, both coming in and going out. So yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I worked a bit with Opera Australia and sort of lots of chorus work on the stage of the Opera House, and then smaller roles with smaller companies and things, and quite a lot of vocal teaching, and all that plays into kind of listening to the qualities of sound and really being focused on the effect of timbre and color and all that sort of stuff.
Actually, Marbania from the chat wanted to know if you were a baritone or tenor.
Yeah, I'm definitely a tenor. So sort of quite a high voice, especially when I was young, high and pretty and flexible. I was kind of on the pathway to be a professional soloist, and in the end, by the time I got to my kind of 30s, the voice just didn't really grow kind of in the final big kind of operatic solo ways. So I've moved into so chorus was great and did lots of work and all that sort of stuff, and chamber opera worked really well, but I then basically got distracted by tabletop gaming and other forms of music. I sing now a lot of Irish folk music and a lot of sort of indie folk rock, and play guitar and all that sort of stuff in smaller contexts now, and I'm really, really loving it. My son is a baritone, so it didn't take long for his voice to go significantly lower than his father's, which is fantastic.
Oh, wow. Did you ever perform in the famed Sydney Opera House?
Yes, frequently, absolutely.
Wow,
so
that's really cool. I think everybody on the planet probably knows that building because of its unique architecture and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, I'm so glad you were here. For those that don't know, Ben came in, I believe it was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, to the Friday game, where I was using the Waterdeep Dragon Heist sounds in the game, and he came into the Twitch chat and said, "Hey, this is awesome, this is fantastic," and I said, "Well, you have to come on our show and let everybody know what's up." So that's a pretty fantastic thing, because this is the first foray for Syrinscape into official Wizards of the Coast sounds, and I'm
Yeah.
assuming that you plan to carry that forward for as many as they'll let you do, right? I'm hoping that's what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're loving working with D&D. I'm really loving 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I think they've done such a fantastic job of making a game, particularly that's really, really great for new entry and for lighter, sort of lighter rules wise, but sort of heavier narrative wise role playing. And I'm really, really loving it. And Dragon Heist, I think they've done an absolutely fantastic job of a kind of a sandboxy, but still sort of events driven kind of adventure with a fairly straightforward purpose and pathway for the PCs. And yeah, we're super, super excited to be building, to finally, in fact, be allowed officially to build sounds for beholders and mind flayers and all those monsters that are excluded from the OGL.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, did you want to show people anything specific about Sirenscape, or showcase anything that you think people might not know, or you're free to let everyone know the things that you want to do. And if you share your screen, we'll put that up and let people take a look while you narrate what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. And I'd love to just respond and chat about what people want to chat about in the chat. So obviously our wonderful hosts will have questions and things that they want to ask. But yeah, in chat, ask those questions and steer the discussion. I shall give, if I can work out how to do it. Oh, here we are. That's right. I'll give a quick demo, I suppose, of what Sirenscape is. So
Okay.
if I go like, hang on, if I go there and I go share.
There you go.
Right.
We see it. Yep.
Excellent. Good. Now, can you hear it?
Oh, as a matter of fact, we can hear it actually.
A little bit, yeah.
You can.
Yeah, it does. It's probably going through your mic, but
yeah,
we can hear it. So just to let people know, that's not how it would sound if you were playing it on your machine. This is
that's right.
This is sound coming from Ben's computer out through his microphone into Discord from Australia to the United States, and then disseminated from there on Twitch. So that's quality is not going to be what you get if
it's not good. It's not good.
But for the purposes of example, yeah, absolutely, we can hear it.
One of the things I was really impressed with, Rob, with your game was just how well you were getting the quality sound of Sirenscape down through the pipeway. So down through the pipeline. So really, really well done. That's why I was so happy to be there. Right. Sirenscape. So just in case people don't know, Sirenscape is an app. It works on PC and Mac and iOS devices and Androids, tablets and phones and all that sort of stuff. It's designed basically to give really, really simple, direct, straight pathway for game masters to create basically the movie soundtrack to your game without having to kind of manage Spotify playlists and YouTube videos with ads and things stopping and starting. But also really, really importantly, to have an interface which is so simple that you just click it maybe once every 45 minutes or something, and you really keep your attention on the actual players in the game. So we produce generic content just for general locations, for sort of a generic sort of town, like a medieval town or a dragon raid. But we also create content specific for actual adventures. And here's just one of the parts, spoilers, of the Dragon Heist adventure.
Spoilers.
I'll have to be, I'll be non-spoilerish in the way I talk about it. So say there might be some point in the adventure where you end up ankle deep in sewer. This particularly won't come across the mic in particularly well, but you'll just get the wash of general disgusting, bubbly, smelly kind of sewers.
Yes, I remember. I did use that one.
Excellent. There'll be sort of some squelching sounds. There'll be some gaseous steam release sounds that kind of every now and then. And in the distance, there's the sounds of a geyser, just probably even subliminally, just on the edge of consciousness. So your players might hear that a little bit, just enough to make them feel uncomfortable, but not actually cue what it really, really is. Now, one of the main points about Sirenscape is rather than it just being a 15-minute recording of a bubbly sewer that's going to loop round exactly the same every single time, actually each of the elements of the sound design of our bubbly sewer is actually separate. So and being triggered randomly in position. So there's some giant rat screeches here. It's not going to happen at 5 minutes 54 at exactly the same position and volume every time. It might just happen once really, really distantly, and the next time it does it, it might be really, really close. You can also trigger them if you like. And
I don't think they can hear what you're doing.
Yeah, well enough.
But I have it open on my machine, and perhaps I can click that. So
that's a good idea.
You're in Xanathar's hideout. So let me go.
Yeah, so run Xanathar's hideout.
I'll go. Yeah,
we have the technology.
That's right. I will go find. Well, how come I don't have that here? Let's see, Xanathar's.
Where did I record the bubbly sewer? That's a great question. So the bubbly sewer, what is it? It's some sloshing liquid, which was literally recorded by me sloshing my hand around in the bath. The gas releases are steam releases are some drops being dropped in a fry pan. And the geyser sounds are Satine Phoenix. When we were building the stuff for Dragon Heist, I actually traveled to the US and went and visited the Wizards of the Coast offices and spent a couple of days recording Chris Perkins and Mike Miles and all those guys. It was amazing. It was so fantastic. So we could get really, really directly to exactly what these monsters officially sound like, and also to just have fun with these guys and get them in the sound set. And then I dropped by Los Angeles on the way home and recorded Satine. So her geyser voices are really, really spooky. So have you got the sound going, Rob?
I do. And then I'm trying to play the geyser voice here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's distant. Let's see.
You could hit the one shot.
Oh, yeah.
Does that work? Can people hear it?
That's Satine, yeah. She's a hey, ho, like that. It's kind of a Jerry Lewis type vibe. I love it.
That's right, yeah. And if you hit sort of a few of the growls in a row, Rob, they'll be able to hear how there's actually multiple samples there. It's not just the same sound every time, which would be really, really terrible.
Yeah, you can tell the differences, yeah.
Yeah. And can you trigger the Xanathar hideout music right at the top, up here? And just here, so the same thing. The music doesn't sound the same every time. Just every now and then a song might play.
Let's see, Zentrum hideout.
Xanathar hideout, just the element at the very top. Dink, like that.
Oh yeah, oh wow, cool.
Just some really, really quiet, distant, atmospheric music. And then the whole idea, so you got all that vibe going with the sewer, but now, Rob, if you trigger the boss battle no flare mood, that one,
the boss
and then
battle...
maybe turn up the D&D battle music. The boss battle, that one there. If you look at my screen.
Oh, I'm looking at my screen, so let me look at your screen. Boss battle no flare. Okay, so let me find that.
Yeah. And then turn the D&D battle music right up so they can hear. One of the things the D&D team wanted to do was to have the fantasy music a bit different from everything we'd ever done in Syrinscape before. So Syrinscape's full of lots and lots and lots of big orchestral, classic kind of Lord of the Ringsy type fantasy music.
Right.
But we wanted to make it a bit more industrial, a bit more techy, a bit more electric-y, guitar-y. So we actually recorded the percussion in the D&D battle music is the sounds of I don't know what you call it in America, but a big colic bin or a big garbage bin that's like 10 feet wide and 6 feet deep. You know, those big things that trucks pick up. All different impact sounds on those.
Garbage can is what we call that.
Yeah, garbage can. That's right. And then there's sort of digital synthy sounds, and there's an electric guitar in this. I'm not sure. I can't hear what track you're playing, but
it's D&D battle music.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the battle boss no flare going, but I turned up the D&D music.
Yeah, fantastic. So can everyone hear that?
Yeah.
And then I guess the only other thing you really need to know about Syrinscape is that you can mix together different elements from different sound sets really easily, and then you can sort of save those as presets. So say you've got that boss battle going, but you want to go down to kind of your storm, and for some reason it's raining. Maybe there's a leak in the sewer or something, which would be really, really gross. You can actually turn on some heavy rain and some thunder and lightning and things like that, and mix all that together, and then go back to your.
Do that.
Yeah, do that. You can go back to the Xanathar's hideout and then save that new thing, sewers in the rain. I don't know why there would rain in the sewers as a new preset. So then that becomes just a single click, and all those elements all get triggered together.
Oh,
There
wow, cool.
are, yeah. Is that working for people?
Yeah, they can hear
Dumpster,
that.
dumpster.
Yeah. There should be lightning here too. Oh, this is gonna be cool. Oh, I love it. That's my favorite. That's actually the first thing I did when I first got Syrinscape and installed it on my computer. The very first thing I did was go find thunder and lightning and rain. That's because that's
absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely. And they it just I use the thunder and lightning and rain just to work with when I'm doing boring parts of my job, like license agreements or contracts or whatever. That's when I'm not on the deck of my starship, which I really, really love as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go, here I am. Yeah. So there's kind of just a tiny quick demo. There's also an online tool for running your games across directly to virtual tabletops, and then there's obviously the Fantasy Ground stuff, which these guys have built, which is like amazing for transmitting those sounds, and lots of other info. And there's a soundset creator, which people can build their own sounds and build their own sound sets out of all the content that we've built, and also samples that they import. But yeah, do people have questions already?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Hitler. Go ahead.
While we're on the topic of sounds here, one of the things that most people don't quite get initially is how does it work with Fantasy Grounds? Do you have the model?
That's right.
Yeah, this would be a good thing. A lot of the fans out there want to see and hear how this thing works and what it does. And we got a couple other questions after that too.
Yeah,
So
fantastic.
while he's loading that up, where exactly did you record this or different? I know one of them was in the bathroom, but what do you have a studio or do you have a little sound room or?
That's right. So I have a really, really well insulated room, which is here, and we put up baffles. I have a lovely, lovely mic, which is the one you're hearing at the moment. This is called. This is one of the Zoom series of mics, which is got a really, really gorgeous crossed pair of capsules, which is really super high quality. One of the incredible things is when I started doing audio work like 10 years ago, you had racks of kind of effects units, and you had really expensive microphones, and it was really difficult to have even a preamp at what takes the lead from your microphone and turns it into a signal that can then be converted into a digital format and recorded. And it was really difficult to get preamps that were silentish. There was always so much hiss, and then you had to use all noise reduction to reduce the hiss. But technology has come along to a point so far where all those digital tools and processors and pitch shifters and noise reducers and EQs are all just virtual within the software, and you're controlling the dials and all that sort of stuff, sort of on the screen. So the sort of requirements for a big, hefty, official kind of studio with $10,000 worth of equipment have pretty much gone away. And the sort of stuff that, what we're doing today, mixing audio from different sources and people video conferencing in and twitching it out to people all around the world is sort of completely radical and new, which is really extraordinary.
Yeah, I've had my share of VSTs.
Yeah, we're getting a few questions now. Let's see. Someone, Marbania wants to know, how do the triggers work?
So as in the Fantasy Ground triggers.
Is that what he's referring to, Leroon? Was he the one that asked the question that you asked? Because I didn't see that question actually.
Yeah.
So we actually did a whole entire show on. Yeah, they can go watch that on YouTube. We did an entire show just on using Syrinscape sounds within Fantasy Ground. So those questions that you guys have about that, we did a show about that. So we don't want to waste Ben's time on how that works, because that involves having the Deluxe Oz extension, both the sound and the bass extension, and then using the Fantasy Ground Sounds module that's available on DM's Guild, and then having a Syrinscape subscription. And if you have all that put together, you can actually just load that up in Fantasy Grounds, and whatever is in the chat will trigger those sounds. So if you cast a magic missile spell, you'll hear that sound. And what I did for what I did for the Friday game was these are not in the sound thing. So I took those things from Syrinscape, and I put those dialogue sounds and those individual music beds for the Xanathar's hideout and the back alley and the sewers and everything, and I just link those in myself manually so that when the players came to that part, I just clicked on it. So if you guys want to know more specifically about that, and you don't already have that sound set, you know, you can ask me about that. You can PM me personally, because that uses Syrinscape. But Ben isn't the person that made that happen. So he's not, you know, we don't want to waste his time asking him that. But it is fantastic, and people love that.
The quickest explanation just from Syrinscape's side is what we enabled for people who are interested in building third-party integration is this little thing. You just hit plus on the keyboard, and it brings up these little pluses here. And when I click one of these, boom, it copies a link to the keyboard, to the thing, the what's it called? The copy
clipboard.
things.
The clipboard.
The clipboard. Oh my God. Yeah, you copied it to the clipboard. And then any program that wants to trigger that link, including the run dialog box or a shortcut on your Windows desktop, or a browser little based app that you've written, or in fact, an extension in Fantasy Grounds, anything that can run that link will then actually click that button within Syrinscape. And that's how it's working. And whether that be clicking a mood that runs an entire scenario with a whole lot of music and all sorts of sound, or whether it's just the Wilhelm scream, individually or whatever, or a piece of dialogue or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what Gwydion and I did, before the show we were talking about that.
Yeah.
We took Deluxe Oz's extension, and then Gwydion and I went through Syrinscape, and we mapped every, and back then, 2 years ago when we did this, there were no official, Magic Missile was Force Missile, and, because you couldn't, it was copyright.
That's right, yeah.
So we found every sound that we could match and put it in there. So, and we did, if you swing your sword, or if you hit, or if it's a crit, it's got the bloody, the bloody version versus the regular hit.
Yeah.
And we went through and mapped all that, and then we've gotten a good response from that, because people not only love Syrinscape, you can do it manually, you can do it at your kitchen table, you can use it as it was intended. But if you have Fantasy Grounds, you can have that stuff be automated for you. So it's really fantastic.
And what's amazing is because of the extension, the call is distributed out to the players, and if they're running Syrinscape on their own machine, rather than Syrinscape's gorgeous sound being pushed down through a pipeline like you guys have heard it today, with all garbled and compressed or whatever, they're actually just getting pure full quality sound, and plus the bandwidth is not being used up of that music going down the chat thing. It's just a single call that says click this button.
I think people miss that. I think there's a lot of people who don't do that because maybe their players don't have Syrinscape and the DM's the only one that has it. But if the players have it, it'll trigger on their machine and they'll hear it that way too. I use say that again, Fury.
Well, there was a question in the stream about if you run a game as a business, are the sounds still usable, or do they need a different license?
That's right. So we have like these guys do. In fact, if you're a partner of Syrinscape, you can use Syrinscape's sounds as under officially the Creative Commons attribution license, so you can use them in your show and you won't get pinged for copyright or anything on YouTube or Twitch. And basically, you use the sounds in exchange for a shout out in the show. So basically, just some comment somewhere. As always, thank you so much for Syrinscape. We love you guys for their amazing sounds. Go and check them out if you don't know about them. And also, what we really, really love people to do is to tweet out and just basically make contact. Pretty much every time a broadcast goes live, include us in your Twitch thing saying, we're going live in 2 hours. Thanks for Syrinscape for the great sounds. And then that allows us to cross promote you guys as well with our own social media circles. And the favoriteest tweets that I get are when a broadcaster says something like, oh my God, I made Rob choke on his coffee last night. It was the best moment ever. Check out minute 46 on the stream, and then that means Syrinscape can then respond with a fantastic tweet like, yes, a Syrinscape, choking people all over the world or something like that.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
So that's the deal. Basically, you can use Syrinscape sounds absolutely under that Creative Commons attribution license in exchange for just basically links in the show notes and the engagement with us. And that's been really wonderful. We've loved doing that, and I've met so many people around the world broadcasting in different languages, even, which is super cool.
So, someone asked, but I'm also very interested in this myself. You're going to do the D&D 5e sets going forward. Are you going to go back? Are you going to do Curse of Strahd, Princes of the Apocalypse, anything before?
Yeah, Strahd is really, really, really tempting. Absolutely. I mean, we'll after this goes out, it's been a huge success. So obviously that was number one thing to measure whether people really wanted D&D sounds. And whoa, surprise, surprise, they do. And there's a big audience out there, so that's fantastic. And then we're going to look back at the backwards. Strahd is definitely one. I really, really love some of the modules in the like the Sunless Citadel. That book with all those old adventures in. It's Sunless Citadel is one of my favorite
Yawning
adventures.
Portal had a bunch of seven different.
That's
Tomb
right.
of Horrors obviously would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, so good. That's good news.
Definitely. And then going forward with releases for them as well. Sorry.
Is that something, just for my edification, is that something that you just time permits, or how do you have to pick and choose your battles because you can only get so many done in so many months and that kind of thing? Yeah, okay, that's right.
That's right. Yeah, we have a certain amount of production capacity. It's been really fascinating, actually, seeing how much easier it has become for us to produce material. So when we were first supporting official content, which was with Pathfinder game, we'd come across a location like like a flooded dungeon, and suddenly I'd have to think about creating all sorts of combat sounds and vocalized sounds for people who are underwater, using air breathing. And we did sort of had to find a whole new way of transmitting the sound and work it out. But now we've got a flooded dungeon. Next time we come to a flooded dungeon, we can basically repeat those processes again. And fun stuff like I've actually put the battle music underwater in Dragon Heist. There's a certain scene where you might go underwater at some point, and I actually take the battle music and play it like it's playing in the bathtub, and it's all muffled and slightly wavy and things like that. And so like we're just getting more and more and more and more content. So the sewer that is in this Dragon Heist adventure path, basically we take the sewer that we already had in Syrinscape, because I had to do that already, and then we basically adjust it and make it specific to that location, often enhance it a little bit, sort of renew some of the content so that it's fresh. So it's actually getting faster and faster to produce specific content for specific adventures.
Oh, that's really cool. We've been going for about 30 minutes. I tell you what, let's give away a prize.
Yes.
I know, it goes fast, right? You didn't think it was 30 minutes. So
no, not at all.
Everyone, Ben has very graciously, he's going to give away his coffee mug. No, he's very graciously brought with him today a Syrinscape starter pack. Is that the name of it? Syrinscape starter sound
that's right.
pack? Okay,
yep.
So we're going to...
6 of the most useful sound sets. You get 8 sound sets free with the Fantasy Player without even registering or anything. But then people usually register and just buy a couple of things to see whether it's actually as good as they think it is. But we're going to give away a big pack of 6 extra sound sets, which are all very, very useful.
Okay, excellent. So if you guys want to win that, just type in the Twitch chat !Sirenscape, and you have to spell it right, or else you won't be entered. So you should see in there and you can see it on my screen too. And we'll run a 3-minute timer, and then if people enter that after 3 minutes, we'll draw that out, and we'll see who wins, and that'll be exciting and fantastic. And if you guys have more questions, just go ahead. Have we missed any, Furied or Leroon? Have we missed any questions?
Oh yeah, everyone's asking questions.
Okay. I hope you guys are. I hope you guys are keeping track, because I'm bad, because I'm talking to Ben, and it's hard for me.
Oh yeah, we got it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Ask me some more questions.
Go ahead, Fury.
Red Lucidity asked, do you have a group purchase license package so a group of players would all have a native sound source, or would you all need to buy licenses?
So a group. So can people buy stuff together, you mean?
Yeah, like a group discounted price or something.
Yeah, so the ways you get Syrinscape working is you have an account which is registered with a single email address. 3 devices can be using that account simultaneously. So you could share the cost of the Syrinscape sounds between 3 people in a gaming group. You then basically, you download the app, which includes the fantasy one, includes 8 free sound sets without even registering anything. Then you can buy one single sound set, say that's Sewer, for $4.30 US. That's sort of, you could buy those one by one and buy the hundreds literally of locations and situations if you wanted to. You can also buy sound packs like this one we're giving away right now, where it's 6 for the price of 5. You generally buy adventure modules once off. So the Dragon Heist, the chapters 1 to 3 of Dragon Heist costs $10 or something. But definitely the most cost-effective way of unlocking Syrinscape is to grab a subscription. So the fantasy subscription, I think, is $7 a month. And that unlocks absolutely everything in the fantasy player, and it all lights up and you can use it as long as you remain a subscriber. What's super cool about the fantasy subscription and the other subs is that any content that is released during the period of your active subscription becomes yours to own permanently. So if you were a subscriber when we released the Dragon Heist content just last month, you would now own it permanently. So even if your sub expired because you had to stop paying for some reason or whatever, you've actually gained ownership of a whole lot of content. So really the sub is a super discounted way of gaining ownership of everything new we release. So it's probably one, and that, I really like that. I hate the idea of people subscribing and then stopping subscribing and having nothing. That's basically why we did it that way.
Right. Cool. That's a fantastic model, because not a lot of companies do that. You subscribe, and then if you stop, it's it. You're out. So that's fantastic. I think the countdown might be done. Let's just check. Oh, I did. Someone did ask, what if they already have Syrinscape? What do they win? And I said that you had something. But let's worry about that if we cross that bridge. Let's see. Let's see who. Okay, so I'm gonna pick 22 people entered. So I'm gonna pick a name, and the winner is Herbman555. So congratulations. Cool. Now, first of all, I have to call out that Herbman555 is not a follower of our channel. So boo, boo, hit that follow button. But if you would like to, Herbman555, I'm saying Herb, it could be Herb. Go ahead and PM me, send me a personal message in Discord, and I will put the Discord link here for you in case you're not a member. I'm assuming that you're not a follower of the channel, or you're also not a member of my Discord, but click on that link and then just send me your email, and I'll make sure and get that to Ben. Oh, there he is. He followed. Thanks for the follow, Herman. So send me send me your email, and I'll make sure that Ben gets that, and we'll get you your prize. So congrats to him, and thank you, Ben, for giving that prize away. That's fantastic.
Pleasure.
Oh, now we're getting a couple followers. So thanks for the follows, everybody. I know we've had about 3 followers in the last few minutes.
Okay, so another question from the chat is from Quicksilver711. Are there any plans to allow third-party integration into the Master Minion for Fantasy Grounds automation via the Master Minion interface?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, good. So, what was in development called the Master Minion Player is now called Syrinscape Online. What Syrinscape Online does is it's controlled. The interface is actually just in any browser anywhere in the world on any device. It looks similar-ish in structure to the interface you saw before, but it's just delivered in a browser. So you can run it from your iPad, doesn't matter if it's in the background or not. And anywhere in the world, you can have little minion players, which are just a little box. And what comes out of them is full quality Syrinscape. And actually what's super cool is the players who are running those little boxes don't need to have a subscription or whatever. They actually don't even need to pre-install any content. So when that button is pressed to play the Xanathar's sewer hideout, whatever thing, all the samples that are necessary get delivered to that online player, and then it plays the sounds. So as long as the Game Master has that full subscription, then they can run Syrinscape Online. What the question is alluding to is the fact that the Fantasy Grounds third-party integration doesn't work with it yet. And basically that's completely, yes, our intention to activate the third-party integration with the online player in exactly the same way we have with the fantasy player. And it's literally just a matter of our dev budget and the burn rate in terms of how much we can spend. So, the more supporters we get as subscribers, and the more you spread the word about Syrinscape, the earlier that will be able to come, because we're literally only limited by the dollars available to spend on dev. But what that'll mean is when you trigger that Wilhelm scream because someone rolls a 1 or whatever in Fantasy Grounds, and the wah, 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 wah trumpet, that little call just gets delivered to the players who are just simply running this little minion player, that online player on their desktop, and then or even on their phone ultimately once we activate that, and the sound will play in full quality, which is super cool. So that was the super long version, and the short version of that answer is yes.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
So we got a couple more questions.
Yeah, go for it, Leroon. Ask away.
Okay, is there any more Starfinder content in the works? So stuff for sci-fi and other game systems like Call of Cthulhu and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So chapter 2 of the Starfinder Dead Suns adventure is almost released. And part 2 of Masks of Nyarlathotep is almost ready for release. They're basically just coming through. The guy who was building them, who's Steve on the forums, is fantastic guy. Got married the other day in about a month back in Greece, and so that's why that's been delayed. And what happens for everyone's info is every time we build, say, a chapter, so if we look at that Dragon Hearts content, we've hit Mind Flayers, Beholder, and Gazers, and then D&D Goblins and D&D Kobolds. What happens then is we pull each of those monsters out of the specific adventure context that they are and make a Beholder combat sound set and a specific so just a general use sound set. So all those will come out as well, and the same goes for the Call of Cthulhu stuff. So as we as we hit those different creatures and different locations and things, they'll also get pulled out as not sort of buried within Adventure Path with a whole lot of unnecessary stuff, that just specific individual locations, which is super cool. And once again, if you're a subscriber, when those bits of content come out, you actually gain permanent ownership of them. So grab a sub, because that's the best way of supporting us. More questions?
Yep. Drake71 or Drake PD, he was asking kind of something that would segue into my question, was about the emotes for characters or genres or archetypes. So his question was, I would like to tag a soundbite on a character, so when they click the button, the sound would play something like "what" or "more ale" or whatever. That's kind of what I was thinking about.
That's right.
For character packs, I should say.
Exactly. So we did a cleric and a fighter and a rogue and something else, a wizard, but only one gender. One of so basically what we need to do is more classes with more vocalizations. I think what we're going to do is going to turn to the community, because I think what we really need to find out first is specifically what people need, and because there's lots of kind of stuff in there that's quite specific, and maybe so I think we need to kind of start a discussion and really outline exactly what people mean by this, because it's a great idea, and then possibly even actually source these sounds from community members to increase the variability of the voice acting and things like that. So of course, today, the person who asked that question, you could grab a recording program, even just the mics on mobile phones nowadays are just incredible. Record those emotes, so yes, 5 different versions of "what ho" or "more ale," and 5 different versions of that. Cut them up in an audio program. There's really great tutorials on the Syrinscape YouTube channel of how to prepare audio. Import it into the creator, the Soundset creator, and set it up just so it all matches the structure of a Syrinscape sound set. Upload that, and then contact us and say, I want to propose this to be community content. We check it and make sure it's not violating anyone's copyright or anything like that, and then we turn it on for all the super sirens, and it'll be available. So there's kind of probably maybe an opportunity. If this stuff wants to be built sooner, we should actually activate the community and get it done.
Wow, that's a really fantastic idea. Because I know that you guys were at Gen Con with a mic, just recording everybody walking by, right, and having them say, "Oh, say this." Yeah, and I just love that idea. That was fantastic.
Great. So one more question that I had for myself personally, kind of a direct question it's a little bit more of a business thing, but would it be possible if down the road, possibly, if you can get the clearance, to make a enhanced module which would have all the links and the sound sets embedded into the module instead of being a separate link that is created?
Absolutely. It seems insane, doesn't it, not to have that already. So basically you if you're a Syrinscape user or subscriber and the sounds are all activated within your online player or whatever, then you buy a version of the module. And so as it goes down, you're scrolling through the text and you say, an old elf approaches you and says, click. And that text is literally just clickable on. That triggers Syrinscape with one of those third-party integration things. And the text is read by, because in this Dragon Heist stuff, we've got Mike Merles reading the part of Raynar, and we've got Chris Perkins reading the part of Volo. And if the first time you hear that Volo voice, it's actually by an official creator of Dungeons and Dragons who dreamt of the characters, done it at his own table, and then you can continue the dialogue yourself. You can imitate the voice yourself once that sort of has been established. And I think that would be super, super cool. Let alone not having to set up these links yourself, but just having, Dragon Encounter 2, boom, and it's clickable right within the text. I think that's fantastic. And I think, it's definitely possible technically.
This is one step beyond what I did, which was why I did that. I made that, I just did that manually, which is what you came and saw. You just happened to trip in that day.
Yeah.
But to have that be like an enhanced version of, like maybe people want to buy Waterdeep Dragon Heist for whatever the price is, and then for $5 more you can get the sound enhanced one or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that would be a cool thing. That would be really.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
And the Fantasy Grounds guys are super keen to do that, and I think we just need to sort out the third-party integration with the online player so that the getting the sounds to the players is the most straightforward it can possibly be.
Right.
And then we just adjust the DOE extension or whatever, and then integrate those things, and we're done. I think it's super, super cool.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to be a thing.
Yeah. And once again, it's just a matter of our burn speed, is how much money we can spend on dev. Because as a tragically enthusiastic gamer, I just want all the shiny things as soon as possible, basically. And
yeah, absolutely. Of
and
course.
So I'm keen to go full speed.
Can we hear Volo now? Is that? Oh yeah, well I can play Volo. Yeah, I can play Volo. Hold on a second, I'll play Volo. Yeah, Chris Perkins' voice was in my game. Let's see, Volo is gonna be in the Yawning Portal, which I have here. And Volo sounds like
Cheerbits. Cheerbits in the stream. Thanks for the cheerbits.
Hello, Thamkadam, chronicler, wizard, and celebrity, at your service. I trust you've noticed the violence in our fair city these past 10 days. I haven't seen so much blood since my last visit to Baldur's Gate. But now I fear I have misplaced a friend amid this odious malevolence.
I gotta stop it right there. No spoilers. But you can
just
totally
wait
tell.
Until you hear Chris Perkins' Xanathar.
Yeah, you can totally tell that that's Chris Perkins. You can just hear it.
Yeah.
You can just hear. But he does a great Volo. And by the way, McClancy 10,006, thank you for the cheerbits in the stream. But it is fantastic to finally have that available. I was so excited. As a matter of fact, I shot myself in the foot because I started our Dragon Heist game on September 7th, which is the local game store release date. And I think you guys intended to get it out that day, but you had to push it back to the 18th. So I played the first 2 sessions with none of those sounds. I was very mad.
Yeah.
So and the next time I'm going to wait until I know it's out. But it's so much fun.
And in fact, or contact us and we can just activate it like a draft version or whatever is an option as well in the future.
Oh, you heard it first, everybody, directly from the guy who owns the company. Yeah, that is fantastic. It's just so much. I mean, 2 years ago when Gwydion brought Syrinscape, he's the one that brought it to my attention. He and I have been online together and setting up these in-person events and everything. And we sat down and he tagged every one of those third-party plus signs to a spell.
Yeah.
I did all the incidental sounds like the weapon attacks and the whispers and the chats and all that stuff. And I even made up stuff like if you type wind in the chat, whoosh, whatever it is. And so we've been having so much fun with that. It's just incredible. And I think people.
Was it you who had the vomit happen randomly?
Yeah.
That's just the best story ever.
There was a piece of text that I had posted in the chat as a description that had the word vomit in it, and I didn't know, I didn't read it, and I put it in there, and then one of the players said, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And then it was the sound, right? It was the vomit sound, and then of course now we can't get enough of it, and the burping and everything. Everybody's trying to. All my players are trying to type, burp and vomit in there to try to get it to go off and whatever. We're all 14 years old. It's hilarious.
Yay!
Yeah, so it's just fantastic, and I can't get enough of it. And I think that the more people use it, and the more people that come and watch the stream, and they're like, "Oh wow, how are these sounds in there? This is nothing we've seen before."
Yeah.
And the fact that people, not even on Twitch or anything, but they can do it, on their machines at home at the kitchen table, they can be running, with the DM screen and the paper and pencil and dice there, and they can still do the sounds. And so it's really fantastic.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just awesome.
And you're doing just a great job. I was just so pleased to hear someone using the sound in a way that wasn't distracting or anything. It wasn't all about the sounds. It was just really adding to the atmosphere and making it fun for the players, which was super cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and with the way we set up the automatic ones, all I have to do is worry about, okay, this piece of dialogue is here, click that, but all the rest of it just takes care of itself. It's all just in the chat.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
super
it's
cool.
Really cool. And
any more questions?
Hashtag I saw that on the DMs Guild. Everybody run and go get it. Yeah, any more questions, guys? Be sure and Ben's here with us, so now if you have questions, ask him now, and we'll get them. Let's see. What does Drake say? Love to have the creature codex or something with sounds embedded. Yeah. Have you done, aside from Paizo and WotC, have you done other specific third party like Kobold Press or any of these other people ever approached you with that?
The Kobold in Kobold Lair is actually Wolfgang Bauer, the world's most official Kobold. So he did all our yark 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 sounds and everything.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That was at PaizoCon a couple of years ago. It was really, really cool. So definitely check that one out. It's basically once those sounds come out of those sound packs, then you just end up with Kobold Battle, Goblin Battle, Bugbear Battle. And they're really obviously the sounds of a creature battle are applicable in any system or anything you like. So
used in any, yeah, exactly.
And in fact, if we don't have a specific monster linked, then you just find a monster with a vocalization that's closest. A red dragon is pretty good for any kind of quite large, very terrifying thing. And in fact, there's people on our forums who have weirdly encyclopedic knowledge of all the content of Syrinscape. And there's Holly Cook is amazing on our forum. So people literally go on the forums all the time and say, "Oh, I've got like an ooze jaw monster, what sounds should I use?" And she's like, "Okay, we'll use the gibbering mouther and combine it with kind of the green dragon roars and mix in a bit of this and it'll sound perfect." And yeah, it's really, really fantastic to see that community stuff happening.
And she's probably, I don't know her, but she's probably done every permutation and combination to work.
And she's got the sort of brain that remembers every element and everywhere where it is, so she literally knows the layout of the content of Syrinscape better than I do, which is kind of frightening, really, and fantastic.
So you mentioned Holly. So how big is the Syrinscape team?
The Syrinscape team, yeah. Okay, that's a cool question. So I work full-time as the CEO and the creative director. I build all the Dungeons and Dragons content. We have, and I do support for half the clock. So, half of the time zone. And I'm in Sydney. Steve Barr is in the UK, and he does the other side of the clock for support. So you've got 24-hour support. He then builds the content for Starfinder and Call of Cthulhu, and he's full-time. We have a guy, Christian Kerding, in Germany, who builds the Pathfinder content now, and he's amazing and fantastic. He works kind of 1.5 days a week at the moment. My wife Karen works with me here in Sydney, and she does kind of just everything in the entire world, including most of the sort of the graphical layout stuff and add things and pamphlets and brochures and then a whole lot of sort of logistic stuff, because she's got that kind of amazing brain. We have a PR person who lives in Austin. That's Jenny Bendel, who's an amazing industry figure who just knows everyone in the entire industry. When you walk across the floor of Gen Con, it takes sort of 19 times longer if Jenny Bendel's with you, because everyone's like, "Oh my God, Jenny!" So she was really, really instrumental in getting the license with WotC, which was fantastic, because she's like literally got buddies in there who she, when she worked there, she worked on like the launch of 3rd edition, D&D, which was just incredible, and was around Wizards when they did the Pokemon thing. So she's super cool. And then, the dev team. So we actually outsourced to a group called the Interaction Consortium. I wrote 100% of the original version of Syrinscape 10 years ago, and then about 15% of the rewrite, which happened 5 years ago, and then work really, really intimately with a team of maybe 4 different developers who come in and out on a contract basis from the Interaction Consortium. And if I've forgotten someone, they'll cry, but that probably seems like everyone. So it's kind of cool. It's actually really freaky for to have lived as a musician, for so many years, and a gamer on the side, and then to suddenly be, working as a CEO and giving a whole lot of people their livelihoods and their jobs and letting people work in a field that they are really passionate about and having super fun doing. It's been really, really kind of surreal and fantastic for me.
Yeah, cool. I like the idea. Smiteworks is a small company as well. It has about 10 employees, or 10 or 12 employees, including me. I'm one of them. And I like it that the smaller and the more intimate the size of the team is, the more everybody's connected, and you're not like this big giant corporation. And then I've got to call Steve because I don't know what we're doing with that.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I think staying small is really, really important for us, for sure.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Interaction Consortium sounds like something from
Single.
That's very cool.
Yep. Well, I think we're gonna wind down. We don't necessarily have to stop, but if you guys have more questions, make sure and ask them, because we've got Ben. It's a one-time only special. I mean, we'd love to have you back, I'm sure, but it's been great to have you here, and I've learned a lot from just listening to some of these people's questions too.
Cool.
So if you guys
dice
have
roll sets,
what was
dice
that?
roll sounds.
Yeah, there's dice rolls in the we have a board game player which is sort of just still a baby, where we've got sort of the official sounds for Catan and Boss Monster and a few other games. There's dice rolling sounds in there, including a 2d6 which you can actually click on, and it rolls and then announces the number, and I think a 1d6 as well. There are many things that people need to know about Syrinscape which you miss out on if you don't know about them. And there's a section on our forums called the Pro Tips. Ben's genius comments. There's a section on our forums called Pro Tips, and go there to find out things like you can make the sci-fi stuff appear in the fantasy player and vice versa. There's a thing called campaigns where you can actually collect groups of sound sets you actually need available and on hand in that left-hand column. The left-hand column of Syrinscape is super, super, super packed full of, I'll show you.
Yeah, I did that. I put everything. I went online and I put everything from the DH sound set into a DH thing, so that on the upper left where it says all sound sets, all I had to do was click on it, and then I had my Dragon Heist things in there. Yeah, and I see you.
That's right.
You have 1,000 of them. That's because you.
There you go. So here's a playlist I made for running Curse of Strahd. It's a seedy tavern, a spooky forest, this really horrible forest, some storm sounds. A disjunction chamber which has kind of electrical effects and magical effects, a spooky kind of sound set, some undead, just everything I needed to kind of run that single adventure. Spooky also has an awesome big grand organ solo, kind of like the Strahd playing his organ because he's awesome and kind of thing. So so that's very, very important. And there are a number of really, really vital tips that make Syrinscape heaps easier to use and run with. And remember, everything we're always trying to do is to keep the attention of the dungeon masters on the players, because that's the point, everyone. Not playing with our digital tools. Yeah.
Right, and so I put the link in there again for you guys if you want to click on Syrinscape.com and go there, and they have great forums. Everybody who watches my channel knows Gwydion, and he's very, very active. As a matter of fact, I think he's here now. He's very active in the forums over there. And Ben says hi, Gwydion. And many other people are over there, and if you guys post in the forums, it's kind of the same as Fantasy Grounds. It's a really great community, and you'll always get someone to help you or answer your questions if you have them.
And advocate for what you want. Like literally, it gives me a sense of what's most urgent for the community. So if we get a big crowd of people asking for a particular feature or to fix a particular thing, then it literally just goes up in priority in my brain, so that when we meet with the dev team, it's more likely to happen. So whinging and nagging is a very useful thing when you've got a small community product like Fantasy Grounds or Syrinscape.
Yeah, cool.
Mm.
Well, Ben, I want to thank you. Is there anything that anything that you would like to know from us? I can't imagine what that would be, but I would ask you anyway.
Why do you broadcast? Because you do such a good job. What made you broadcast your games live, and what do you get out of it, and why do you keep doing it? Is what I love to ask people.
That's a really, really good question. I would say the answer to that is in 2014 I had a liver transplant, and I was a professional stand-up comedian before that, and I got sick, and I lived in Los Angeles, California, and the state of California told me, since you're not married or don't have a girlfriend and you're a super big loser, we will not give you. They didn't say that. We will not give you a liver because you don't have a support system. So I had to move back to my hometown. And I was sick from 2008 to 2014. So for 6 years I just laid on a bed and did nothing. And I was wasting away, and then I finally got my transplant and everything's good now. And so I didn't want to go back to performing. I didn't want to go back to Los Angeles, California, and be a comedian who didn't have a movie career or didn't have a sitcom and wasn't famous. So I'd been a D&D player since I was a kid, and I just found Fantasy Grounds, and I fell so much in love with it that eventually I was hired by Doug Davison. And I just started streaming my games, and now I've got, I just stream games. I do this show. I do module creation, and it just all blew up. And Syrinscape became a big part of that, and that's how I met Gwydion and Leroon and Furied and all these other people. And so that's just what happened for me. Was it just kind of took over my life. And if you would have asked me 5 years ago, oh, you're going to be a streamer on this thing called Twitch, and you're going to be using sounds and playing Dungeons and Dragons every day, I would have said, you're crazy. That's absolutely
totally.
But the reason I do it is because it's so much fun and it means a lot to me, and I continue to do it because people really enjoy the things that I make in the way of the Dungeon Masters Guild items, and people evidently like to come and watch my antics. And,
that's cool.
I'm behaving myself with you, but if you weren't here, there'd be a lot of profanity and other types of shit. And so
I have heard that on the stream. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, I was a professional comedian, so I can taper it down if I need to, but I don't need to. I don't really need to. So
that's cool.
Speaking of playing games, the chat wants to know, Ben, what are you playing?
What am I playing? I'm playing. So I play. Fascinating question. What's the main thing? I see
you have Pathfinder back there. All those books
that's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking at your bookshelf, really trying to figure out what you have up there.
so I when I got really well, I was doing. Oh gosh, I start 9 sentences. Right, I was a big 3.5 player, and so then when 4th edition came out, as with some people, it didn't tickle my fancy or didn't connect with D&D the way I remembered it. So I moved over to Pathfinder, attracted in a large way by the really super rich worlds and their wonderful story creations. So I played, Rise of the Rune Lords and those sort of adventures and things like that. Was really, really, really loving that. And then since 5th edition's come out, it's just such a fantastic vehicle for new players and for a slightly lighter, faster, more free-form narrative way of role-playing. So I'm really, really super loving 5th edition as well. We're about to start a Red Hand of Doom, which is my favorite adventure ever in the entire world, which was written by James Jacobs, who for 3.5, and who James Jacobs obviously currently works at Paizo. And when I first met James Jacobs, it's probably the biggest starstruck moment I've ever had, which he thought was hilarious because he's like, I'm just some guy who wrote a thing. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, you wrote Red Hand of Doom and I love it, Ivan. Because I've run it in the past for groups of friends, about to start running it again. I'm playing through the dragon. What's the dragon cult thing? The dragon, the D&D one.
The Dragon Cult.
Horde of the Dragon Queen. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and then Rise of Tiamat is after that.
That's right. And I'm playing Miri, who's the exact precise twin of Bella, her sister. And Miri is the one who uses a bit of moisturizer and who takes care of herself. And if only Bella would also take care of herself, then she wouldn't be so scruffy. So Miri's the bard who performs and sings and runs distraction while Bella, while Bella stabs people in the back because she's a rogue. So she's fantastic. Miri insists on wearing ballet flats wherever she adventures, basically ruins them every day, and then spends every evening casting mend while she sings and sews up her ballet flats and repairs them. And the best thing I love about Miri is she literally girds her loins. She pulls up her skirt and angrily, if she's forced to enter a fight, she ties up her skirts, pulls out a rapier, and then at kind of 7th level, she's actually getting quite deadly as a bard, which is super cool while she stings and eviscerates. So that's probably the main things. I also love playing Call of Cthulhu and Cosmic Patrol and other things like that. But really, the Roll20 things are my main thing.
So you're a gamer.
Oh, hugely.
I see.
First of all,
I get it now.
Absolutely.
Well,
it doesn't. This sort of thing doesn't work unless you're a real gamer. You can't make a gaming company. And yeah. I really, honestly, totally, literally only made Syrinscape for me. And it's just lovely that other people like it too.
That's how I got into making those things for the DMs Guild. Is I was frustrated and I wanted something for myself, and then people were like, "Can I have that? Can I?" And it just blew up. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So all that stuff about keeping the attention of the game master on the players is literally just because I. When you get dungeon mastering, you operate on overload, basically. You're trying to remember the whole adventure. You're running all these stats, these monsters. You're trying to make sure you're keeping an eye on all the players, making sure everyone gets focus time that's equal and fairish. And you're trying to work out, like you're watching the clock and you're thinking you're going to want to stop maybe in about half an hour, which is only an hour longer than you said you were going to play in the first place. So you're looking for a big punctuation point to stop.
Yeah.
And so, having sound running in a way that's super, super simple and straightforward and immersive and not gonna attract attention to itself in a big way is super important. And so that's why I made Syrinscape. That sounded very committing.
We're all glad you did. We are all very glad you did, my friend. Well, thanks. Thanks for coming and sharing with us. And thanks everybody for watching. This will go up on YouTube, so if you came late to the show or if you want to watch it again in case you missed anything, we'll put it on YouTube, of course. And congrats again to let me find his name because I've already forgotten it. To Erdman 555 for winning the starter sound pack. And we really appreciate everybody coming by. Hope to see you back here. I'm going to do short announcements tonight, but we hope to see you back here tomorrow, where I will be doing I'll be doing a module creation from beginning to end. The first step is open Fantasy Grounds. The last step is export the module. So if you want to see a short version of how that's done beginning to end, join me tomorrow on the show. And a big round of applause for Ben, everybody. A round of applause. I don't know how much you can get from 3 people on a mic, but but we appreciate everybody. And any final words from anybody? Any final words from
just watch out for me on I'm going to be at TwitchCon, so I'm going to be on the big main stage show for Chris Perkins' game, which is going to be kind of slightly freakily amazing and fantastic. So watch out for that. And just grab a trial subscription. You can do the whole 30 days free thing and cancel if you don't like it. So just search for Syrinscape trial sub and give it an unlock and see you on our forums. And I'll also watch the comments on the YouTube video and answer questions there as needed.
Okay,
thank you for asking such excellent questions.
Did you want to give out? Do you have a Twitter address you want to give out, or we know Syrinscape.com, but anything else?
Just Syrinscape, absolutely. Just search for Syrinscape, and the Twitter handle is just Syrinscape as well. And search for Syrinscape on Facebook as well. Whatever your means of communication is, use that and ask questions and complain for the stuff you want. Okay,
well, fantastic. Any final words from Furied or Leroon?
No, I think that was a great show. It's nice to have you here, Ben.
Yeah, cool.
Pleasure. It's really nice to meet you and see you on camera and everything. And thank you so much for doing the whole Syrinscape and making games more enjoyable for players and more stressful for DMs. Anything to distract them from killing my character, perfect.
Excellent, good.
Cool. All right, everybody. Well, we'll shut the stream down, and we will see you next time. And until then, good gaming, everyone.